10 million research articles published every year, and still some medical affairs teams are managing the PDFs manually. In this episode of Off Label, we talk with Mark Hahnel and Iveta Petrova from ReadCube, the platform helping pharma teams turn literature overload into strategic firepower. From AI-powered insights to why a documentary might just be the perfect metaphor for research tech. This one's smart, sharp, and surprisingly fun. Let's get into it. Iveta and Mark, welcome to Off Label, the home of provocation, insights, humour, and the seasoning of weirdness. It's great to have you both here. How you doing today? Monday morning, dare I ask?
Yeah, it's getting to the busy part of the year as well. I mean, the whole year is busy, but it's happy to be here and excited to chat.
Wonderful.
It's really nice to be on the podcast, Steve. Thank you for the invite.
It's a pleasure to have you both. So let's jump straight into it and talk about you for a moment and your roles at Digital Science and how you both landed into the exciting world of research tech. Iveta, let's start with you.
Well, that's a very good question. Well, first of all, I'm leading the strategy and roadmaps for our enterprise solutions, which include ReadCube. So we're very much focusing on the changing needs of our users. But how I ended up here, well, I actually have a research background. So I've been always interested in what's new and how to help with that. And then I slowly moved into content and tech, and I'm still here.
Okay, so you understand the problem as well as anyone being a researcher, and now you're trying to solve them. I like it. Mark, how you doing? Where you from and how'd you get here?
I'm in, hi. I'm in London. I was doing a PhD in stem cell biology at Imperial, and I started making my own data available and ended up building a platform that allows researchers to publish data. That was over a decade now. So started working with Digital Science. And as the tools evolved, it's exactly what you just said, you know, the tools have come a long way. Digital Science had a big role to play there. And I've been more focused in understanding how we can work with different organizations as we move into this, you know, AI-enabled future to understand what their needs are and how our suite of tools can help get them further faster.
Quite exciting time. Iveta, you're very humble. You didn't mention you had a doctorate. I found that out on LinkedIn. Mark, you're stem cell technology. Like, I'm feeling hopelessly inadequate in this conversation already, so thanks very much. But how about we just maybe zoom out a little bit and have a look at a bit of a systemic issue that we've got in the industry at the moment, and that's related to the research itself. And we've never had more of it, right? All we hear about is how much data and publications and articles being published daily, but there's so much data, but it feels harder than ever to use it. Can you help me understand at what point did it all start going wrong?
I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but I won't do because we're going to keep it concise.
We're trying to keep it tight.
I mean, if you look at the numbers on just publications, you know, like in the year 2000, we were hitting 2 million peer-reviewed publications coming out every year. And now it's more like 9, 10. So we 5x the number of publications. There's a lot of incentives to publish.
Sorry to interrupt. Did you say 9, 10 million?
Yeah, so it's 4, 5x since the turn of the millennium, and introduces some problems, right? I don't think we have 5 times as many researchers to peer review the literature. I don't think you've read all the 9, 10 million papers that came out in 2025, have you, Steve?
I've been quoting the 2 million number and blowing people's minds.
Yeah. And so, as you say, it raises a lot of issues. With one of our tools, ReadCube, we've gone from, you know, when I was an academic, it being a tool where kind of like iTunes came along and everyone was like, oh, now there's a place where all my files, my music can live on my desktop. And then ReadCube came along and did that with papers. And then once you have this corpus of knowledge that's hyper localized to your area of research, because obviously I didn't want to read papers too far away from my field of research. That's where you can get lots of efficiencies, but also lots of like really interesting ways to use the information that we hadn't been able to before, you know, a decade ago. And now, as we've already touched on with AI, it's some really interesting times for just consuming that information in ways we couldn't before. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you both have the research background, obviously, but as you know, we're on a podcast that's primarily designed for the medical affairs function within pharma. And, you know, medical affairs, I mean, research is so important to several functions within medical affairs, if not all. And as touched upon, there's just so much of it now. So how can medical affairs professionals and teams, how can they have more data than ever before but they're still struggling and still flying blind. And then this is from the pharma industry themselves. How can that be?
Well, I would say it's also that medical affairs is not a single person as well. So you have the different functions within the function.
Indeed.
And for each of them, the problems are also different. So like if we take MedInfo, they are looking at standard response letters. They have to create them, update them regularly, make sure that what they're communicating to patients or HCPs is up to date, it's relevant to them, it's also compliant. At the same time, you have the MSLs going in the field that are trying to get meetings with key opinion leaders, bringing relevant information, but at the same time, information that maybe those professors, assistant professors, or clinicians haven't seen yet. And then you still have R&D, which is a huge problem in its own, where you have all of that information, but to actually counter the information from Mark, you have fewer new drugs coming on the market. So how do you prioritize the pipeline and the biomarkers that come with it? So I would say we have to take it one problem at a time and make it very specific to it rather than take it as a whole.
It's a really good point. So I mean, it's a nice way to kind of segue into what ReadCube does, actually. There's clearly a problem out there. There's a problem for lots of different people in lots of different walks of life and companies and organizations and functions. So ReadCube, for those who haven't used it or even heard about it, what is it and what does it actually do?
Yeah, so it's kind of like that catch-22 that we were just talking about, that you want research to be as efficient as possible. One of the nice things about academic research is it's real time. You get new papers every day, you get more information every day, but there's so much of it. And we want to go faster. We want to filter this information faster. And so ReadCube for medical affairs and R&D provides a centralized environment to discover, manage, organize, and facilitate review of scientific literature. So this idea that with all of the literature that's relevant to you, you can basically be in a system where you can collaborate with your colleagues and filter content so that when it comes in you can absorb it in real time and not deal with some of the noise, but also listen to what your colleagues are talking about too.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear a little bit about that because, when we think about, you mentioned at the start, iTunes is a great place where all my songs are now. When I worked in industry, you did have folders on the G drive that contained, and everyone just dumped the PDFs into that shared drive where people could access them. But it sounds like you've moved a long way beyond that to be much more than just a share folder. What else is going on under the hood there?
Well, again, back to the problems, I would say we started focusing more on each of the different personas, what kind of problems they're facing. So yes, we have the libraries and, you can collaborate and share and, have the regular efficiencies there. But you can also organize it, say, according to your drug and keep your standard response letters there, or, activate options to have the updates or the generations, more speedy for you. You can also, directly search for literature inside the tool. So instead of going around and, all of the download, upload, missing information in the process, formats. So we're trying to really go into the point of the workflow of our customers, what does it make sense to actually make it very easy and smooth rather than moving through multiple tools. And then we're moving for the MSL, they can just do, quick searches themselves and then set up an alert, let's say, whether it's on a topic or on a key opinion leader. So really streamlining their work rather than just saying, well, you're now organizing your library of many, many millions of documents.
Yeah, well, sounds like a super efficient way to keep on top and, boost their impact from an MSL point of view, to boost their impact immediately with their customers. Mark, you've touched on AI a couple of times already. I've got this sense you're kind of championing it a bit to talk about it. Sounds like there's some exciting things happening. So I read on the website you've added AI to the mix. So presumably this isn't just a little blanket like some other companies do, and to make a bit of a this just chat with a PDF stuff, right? What are some of the smart features that are going to, and what's the difference that they're going to make?
Yeah, I think this is it, right? The exciting part about, in every industry, where can AI help you is either with efficiency or with generation of new knowledge. And so we're trying to do one thing with the nice things about ReadCube is, it lends itself to that very easily, in that there's a lot of efficiencies that can be had, what Iveta was just talking about. And, even things as generic as summarizing a PDF. I think an academic article is the right size for that. I think if you say, just give me the highlights of this book, it's probably, you probably don't get the full thing. But if you want to double click into that and do the deep dive, then academic literature is the right size for that. But then we're focused on kind of like deeper integration with enterprise workflows, help with creating, scoping studies, to add initial structure and ideas around those things. And the AI tools around the new knowledge, we're focusing on how can we help you come up with some structure within your organization that helps you facilitate systematic literature reviews, things like this, by keeping the human in the loop. Because I think that's where a lot of the tools fall down is, here's the AI generated content. And you might be like, well, for my specific area, I want to give some feedback there and say, actually, I want to fine tune this and I want to go back in and say, actually, that wasn't going down the right track. So we have interfaces where you can set up workflows to get automated, notifications on things, but you can also go back and pull information out in the way that you want and create these knowledge bases and these knowledge graphs based on the information you want as a human who has expertise. Because the expertise bit is the bit that, if the robots could just do it on their own, the robots would do it on their own.
Indeed. No, it's a very important part of the loop. The thing that kind of impresses me is the attention to the customer experience that you seem to be very heavily leaning into. So many people are developing tools, particularly with AI now, and maybe putting the cart before the horse in some instances without truly understanding the user. It sounds like you're getting real-time feedback and understanding of what the genuine needs are from the various stakeholders or functions or personas that you're supporting. So maybe we could just on that lean into how does it help could we have an example of a medical affairs professional such as an MSL or an advisor or even a researcher, how an example of how they're going to stay ahead without being overwhelmed by using ReadCube?
There are a couple of ways. So obviously we have the obvious ones like alerting. So like everyone can set up an alert depending on the topics of their interest or if they want to, get updates directly linked into their libraries. What we started also recently is providing the AI summaries of the alerts as well. Again, just, to deal with the sheer volume of information that is coming their way so they can quickly assess whether actually there is anything interesting they want to deep dive on or
just out of interest,
they can wait for the next one.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, please.
So we talk about the AI summaries. Is that just an AI summary for each article, or is that maybe say there's been 5 pretty serious articles come out this week in multiple myeloma, and here's a summary of all of them of what's been happening, or how does that break down for a user?
Yeah, so currently it's the top, don't quote me on it, but I think it's the top 20 at the moment. So we're still not getting the full one because it could actually dilute it, but then we will rank it by relevance and then extract the summary of the top hits. So it will be more of a mixture, but still you will be able to assess whether there is enough interesting information from that alert to go and, either move things or integrate them into a library. Nice. And I just wanted to build a little bit on what Mark was saying. With medical affairs and R&D, the details are very important. So apart from having the human in the loop, we are also providing and focusing very much on the transparency of where the data is coming from so they can track back to the original parts of, just highlighted. Also, one of the things that came also from, really user-centric research that we've done is that even though it's actually picking it up from the record, sometimes it's from the references. It's kind of obvious, because it's there and it's titles. So it seems like it's very important. So we had to also iterate on, the implementations of the models to also exclude information, even though it's there, to make sure that the precision of the information to the user is actually relevant.
Yeah, sounds really sophisticated. So we've mentioned, AI, there's product development and things happening, and it's making us realize how much more is possible to build upon your own business. So we're kind of interested. It sounds like what's going on right now is probably enough to keep you very busy for the next little while, but is there a place we're heading to next? Are you building or experimenting something at the moment with these new tools and new knowledge that may better serve medical affairs in the future? Any killer feature or idea in the works?
Well, we're actually in the process of releasing a new research assistant. It's very good at helping with the scoping reviews. So more putting the structure, the backbone of the information, bouncing ideas, rather than necessarily running the full systematic literature review for the researcher. But it also links to other data sources on our end, like patents. So it can also pick up other interesting information that is also like early indication, because even though peer review is great, it takes time to peer review. And with that, we're also looking at experimenting with deep research. And in parallel, we have two other initiatives. One is more around supporting our users in compliance, and the other one is to assess publication impact going forward.
Well, both huge meaty topics there, and certainly the economies and efficiencies that are available to companies if you crack that nut correctly are going to be immediately recognized and valuable. So it sounds really exciting. An exciting time to be at ReadCube. So let's move on from excitement or maybe keep with excitement. But what we like to do is we wind these interviews up with a little bit of fun. And I'm not sure if you had a chance to prepare or read the prep notes, but if we like to just say, if the industry you're working in or ReadCube, the company in general, if it were a movie genre, what type of genre would that be? For example, are we talking a rom-com for researchers, or a sci-fi where AI saves the day, or that type of thing? Let's get a little bit weird. And what do you? Where's your heads at?
Well, actually, Steve, yesterday was the last day of the International Documentary Film Festival in Amsterdam. So I would go with, it will be a documentary. I think, it will be very precise. It will be maybe, like that paper that, made an impression on a scientist and led to a completely new drug pipeline. Mark, I don't know, what are your thoughts on it?
I just love that from the pun point of view, right? We're very good at documents management, so it must be a documentary, right?
A doco on docus. Fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. We're going to run with that. Righto, guys, let's finish it up. If people want to start learning about ReadCube, we're going to have a nice little screen that's going to come up right about now with a QR code that people are going to can scan, or we'll have the website beneath the video on LinkedIn and on YouTube and what have you. But what should they do first if they want to get in touch or get started with ReadCube? Is it just go to the website, or is there someone in particular? What's the journey?
Go to the website. There's tools you can download straight away and start playing with. You've got a desktop app you can start playing with, and then learn about all the features that way. There's no better way than doing it yourself. So readcube.com, ReadCube. It's an easy word.
Yeah, nice one. Not too often do you get an opportunity to try before you buy and fool around. Most of these things are behind paywalls and that type of thing. So good on you. You obviously have a lot of confidence in your product. Sounds like you've got every reason to. Iveta, Mark, thank you so much for joining us. I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully we've kicked off your Monday morning in the right tone. And I wish you well for the rest of the day.
Thank you, Steve.